So this video is not clickbait. As with all of my videos, I would never mislead you. This is genuinely some new information that's come to light about GTA 6. So sit down, relax, and let's get into it. So a few months ago, VICE.CLO HD came out with a post about the story length for GTA 6, claiming that the story will be, in terms of missions and length, shorter than Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, one of the things that a lot of people do forget about Red Dead Redemption 2 is that the reason why the story was so long wasn't necessarily due to the mission structure, it was due to how much time it took to get from one location to another. A lot of the story length in Red Dead Redemption 2 consisted of getting around the map. But now VICE.CLO HD's come out with another statement saying the following: "Think I'm about done reporting GTA stuff on here that I've heard or providing insight. One game I wish I didn't know so much about. The community is the most insane I've dealt with, unwell, rabid individuals. Criticism is fine, but some of you take that up to threats. However," and then he goes on to tell us about the leaks. Very quickly, my last video covered a lot of the unwell people in the Rockstar community, so definitely check that out. The game is massive, full of a load of side content, lots of countryside and towns, main story is shorter than Red Dead Redemption 2, and one central theme from a few sources is criminals figuring things out. Family struggles. Sounded like a more grounded story to me, but there's still a lot of the usual sanity in missions. Heard some are inspired by the Fast and Furious movies, like they're supposedly like the below vault chase scene from Fast 5. Now this isn't necessarily surprising to me anyway. I mean, GTA 5 was literally like a mashup of loads of different movies put together. They went extremely Hollywood in Vinewood. But also, I do think that the story will be more grounded. What he's saying here is lining up with the predictions I've made about the story. GTA 4, although it was a bit dark in certain areas, in fact the whole game was a bit dark, it was more grounded and was a more engaging and believable story. With GTA 5, one moment you're jacking banks, the next you're working for the government. It felt a little bit too like Fast and Furious movies, which is the main reason I don't watch them anymore, because it's not about street racing anymore, it's about doing stuff for the government and going into space. So I do feel like Rockstar will try and bring the story back to a more grounded level, but still have some of the really insane stunts that we had in GTA 5. Now before we get to the next lot of points, I just want to say a brief thank you to today's video sponsor, private internet access. Now when gaming online, you want to make sure that your internet connection is protected, but of course you also want to make sure that it's fast, especially in games such as GTA, which utilises the peer-to-peer model. A perfect way to protect yourself online is with today's video sponsor, private internet access. Gaming online and not using a VPN is like paying for DLC but not being able to access all of it. A lot of online games geo-lock their online content, so essentially certain countries get different content to other countries. But fortunately, with private internet access, you can be in a different country at the click of a button. Private internet access protects you from the prying eyes of internet service providers, hackers, and others with bad intentions that want to steal your private data. Private internet access helps you overcome all of these restrictions and dangers by giving you the option to change your IP address to one of their 91 countries to choose from and 50 US states, allowing you to gain access to websites and services that are only available in those particular locations. Private internet access is available for all platforms: iOS, Android, Mac, Windows PC, everything. It works on everything, it's mental. And you can use one private internet access subscription on as many devices as you want. So if you want to stay protected on the internet, use the link down below to save yourself 83% on private internet access. That's just $2.03 a month. And you also get 4 months completely free. Now let's get back to the video. As far as I know, Lucia is the central character to this story, as Michael is to 5. A lot of the intro was already leaked on Reddit and by a prominent community member that passed it off as speculation. Lucia/Jason have separate intro missions. There's corrupt cops, a chief, Russians create chaos, all the things you can expect from a GTA game. There's a lot of planned and cut content or ideas that didn't go far, like voice protagonists in the online. Online has been worked on for years now. A lot of the fidelity/performance options from 5 are supposed to be here, but I've heard that they've struggled with making 60 frames per second happen. One developer said that this was the best project they've worked on at Rockstar in terms of not being overworked to death. A lot of veterans were ready to go after Red Dead Redemption 2, and some were happy that Dan left. Also, one had unkind words for Laszlo. Now we've known for the past few years that the internal culture at Rockstar Games has been very up and down. They've had a culture of work ethic where a lot of their developers, especially in the early days, in the early 2000s, their developers were literally sleeping in the offices. And we know that Red Dead Redemption 2 pretty much nearly broke the company. Leslie Benzie's official departure was in 2016, then of course we had Dan Houser's departure in 2019, and this was a really transformative period for Rockstar Games. They were going from what could be considered, even after GTA 5, technically like an indie developer, to a massive conglomerate. And I know indie developer is probably the wrong word, but they are now a business that's fully dictated by shareholders, corporate America, and all of that stuff. There was definitely some point in the last 15 years where a huge culture shift had to happen within the business, and I think Red Dead Redemption 2 was the keystone for those changing of events. A basketball minigame was worked on at the Toronto studio. It was on the chopping block at the end of 2023. Always the difficulty talking about a game in active development. A lot more Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay in this than I think some expect. And that's the thing, of course we had rumours about 3v3 basketball being featured in the game, and obviously those rumours really started to circulate in November and December of last year. Now obviously this being put on the chopping block at the end of 2023, there's every chance that it could be added back in, especially as the community, particularly on Reddit, has been very vocal in the fact that they would love this to be in the game. So I think there is an opportunity for this potentially to be brought back, but once again that's one of those things that we'll just have to wait and see. Supposed fun fact I wasn't able to verify, but I heard that the OG 2016 Red Dead Redemption 2 leaked map originated from an internal multi-tool called Bugstar, used company-wide and not just for bugs. There was one on there for 6 but was taken off at some point. Then Michael closes off by saying, believe me not. I'll speculate on stuff in videos and leave it there. Also not saying more because of spoilers, and was planning a video with this information, but I'll let this thread speak for itself instead. 2026 is still very much on the table, but there's a reason I never said anything definitive, because I hadn't heard it. Devs thinking versus knowing is a big difference, and just made the mistake of an arrogant jokey tweet entertaining someone else's sources that clearly didn't land or age well. You live and you learn. And this is something that I mentioned in my previous video. 2 out of the 3 sources I spoke to indicated 2026, one of them indicated 2025. However, not everyone in Rockstar knows the exact release cycle for the game. Of course they're all working to get the game finished as soon as possible. Some departments are more stressed than others, and some departments really do not have confidence in a 2025 launch, just because how much work there is left to do. You can go to any office for any company in any part of the world, and when given deadlines, there'll always be amongst teams a sense of anticipation to get the job done, and also a case of uncertainty or whether it's actually even possible. I personally believe there's been nothing official inside of Rockstar that's gone round to all the employees to say that we're aiming for 2026. I think the spoken rule now is let's try and get this game out to the public for fall 2025, but it is Rockstar Games and they've delayed, I believe, nearly every single game they've ever made. Now of course in this post by Legacy Killer HD there was a lot of things in there that I wasn't aware of, but there was some stuff that I've kind of heard about anyway, so we'll have to just see when the game comes out. But from my understanding with the sources he has and the sources that I've spoke to, this does sound relatively on point with what I've heard. I however do believe that 3v3 basketball will be brought back to the game just because of the general buzz about that online. A lot of people really want that in the game, so I hope that Rockstar keep their ear to the ground and really listen what the community is asking for. Of course, if you have any thoughts about this, please make sure to drop a comment down below. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. One final thing I just want to tag on to the end of this video, obviously the sensitive nature of today being September the 11th. Make sure we just take a few minutes to remember what people went through on that day, 23 years later, and it's still as horrific and horrifying as it was back then. So yeah, just take a couple of minutes. Thank you for watching. I'm just looking for a cheap thrill, put it on my neck. I keep doing this dance with that.